All right. Well, doing something a little different today. Just, I really have to. I've talked a lot about the old Eagles on the podcast, and this is the ultimate victory Monday in a while. 2018 was the last time we won it, and 2 years ago we got a little bit screwed over by the refs against the same team. And I'm willing to bet most of the world hates this team that I'm talking about. I got so many texts this morning from friends about people who don't really like my team, but they were totally cheering for my team to go ahead and beat the refs and Taylor Swift and the whole phenomena of the Chiefs. What a smackdown. I know this is a podcast about mental fitness, and I feel pretty fit right now. I feel pretty freaking fit. This is wild. This is one thing that I've had to learn to work with, and I've mentioned this in podcasts before, is not to get caught in the ups and downs of sports and let it ruin my day if they lose or get too carried away. But it's the Super Bowl, and like that's really hard to make it to. I'm a little carried away, hence why I'm making this video. But I'm not gonna leave you hanging without dropping some sort of psychological knowledge here, or else you probably already checked out by now, or doom scrolled up because you're gonna see those on video too. What I wanted to add to this was the old great connector for men and some women. It's sports. It's sort of like one of the last bastions in our society, in our culture for now, that connects us. Like, it's an entry point into a conversation. I mean, there aren't a lot. You know, sometimes it's like hunting or shooting or jujitsu or whatever. Men connect around activities all the time, and then we talk. And so, yeah, that's good. It's good. But the problem is, at some point, we don't know where to go after that. And it gets a little awkward. So we're having like a good conversation about the game. And then this happened recently in a dinner party. You're just in there talking. You kind of like just met a friend of a friend, or a spouse's husband, and you're talking about how great the Oregon Ducks were doing, and then it's like that awkward silence, and then there to fill the gap is like, well, sometimes there's no gap, there's just silence. There's like, so I think that's like a 75-inch TV up there. What do you think? And you're like, yep. And there's another awkward silence, and then it's like fucking weather or something, like, and then you just do that like Irish goodbye, sneak away, and it's just weird. It's like, we can talk about more than just sports, guys. Like, we can do this. We don't think we can, but we do. I'm infinitely more approached by random dudes wearing sports gear than when I have a suit and tie, or I just have like a nice outfit on. I'll get some looks, and like, there's something about a suit and tie that'll get you some looks. I don't got guys coming up to me and like trying to start conversations, but I'll roll into my Starbucks with my gear on, or at the gas station. And the male barista will, sometimes female, will start talking to me because of my gear. And now I'm talking, I know their team, they know my team, and we're like, there's a whole conversation, and it's really kind of cool. And you start building this connection. And like one of the gas station attendants yesterday, or it was a Friday, he's like, so who do you got in the Super Bowl? He's just throwing it out there. And I had some low vis Eagles gear on that was all black, and he didn't notice I was an Eagles fan. I'm like, fuck the Chiefs, man. I'm a Birds fan. But we had a whole conversation about the Super Bowl, and he's a Vikings fan, and off we go. And then there's another guy there who's an Arsenal fan because he wears a woolly Arsenal with an Arsenal badge on it, and I'm a huge Arsenal fan, so we always chat when I roll up to get gas. It's a great connector. Like, I wouldn't have had conversations with these guys necessarily without wearing the gear. You know, I was talking to Josh earlier about like you sort of like finding your tribe in a way, and it's good. But we have to take the next evolution. Yeah, and it happens with sometimes I'm wearing Coast Guard gear or Navy gear. I do the Coast Guard auxiliary, and then I wear the Naval Academy gear because my grandpa was in the Naval Academy, and I'll sometimes get some conversations that way too, which is cool. Without that, it's just kind of some silence. So after you have had your conversation with whatever the jiu-jitsu, the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. I still can't believe it. They won the Super Bowl. You risk a little conversation of depth. That's what we're going for as men. Like, we talk about all kinds of shit with our spouses and girlfriends and sisters and, well, maybe brothers, hopefully brothers. But it kind of ends. Like, let's move forward. Like, risk some conversations of depth. Like, something meaningful. Like, how's the family? Easy. Low-hanging fruit, innocuous, like, or what are you working on, or what are you excited about this year? What are you looking forward to? Something easy, and just see what happens. And sometimes you'll get like a blank stare because they're not used to that. Well, that's okay. And if they don't really know how to answer right now, just answer your own question and say, well, I'm working on this thing. And over time, like, it shows that that's entirely possible to do, which is a good thing. You want that. I think as men, we're afraid of that bad V word, vulnerability, because historically vulnerability that hits us like as men, like we are exposed with no defense, and anybody can manipulate and take advantage of us. Like, I don't think archetypically we really like that word, but if we move it more into the psychological realm, it just means openness and letting people into a space where we don't need the armor or the weapon, because we trust that person and they got our backs, and we can just let that down, and then we can connect and make contact, like Dewey Freeman says, just connect deeply. Once you're there, you're done with the surface level shit. Like, yeah, you can totally talk about sports, but you might just jump right into the deeper stuff. But it does take some time to get there, but it is entirely possible, and that's engendering friendship. You know, there's got to be some sort of trust and safety, but you can't get past that once you get past the small talk. You have to get past the small talk in order for it to do anything. You don't want to just move on to the weather or the usual crap that society tells us to talk about. It just gets, it's so awkward, and it's so hilarious. I've been in so many awkward elevator conversations before. And I'm an introvert too, so I hate small talk in general, so I just kind of bypass it, and maybe that's my work to do. Extroverts seem to be really good about this. They can talk about the weather and it's no big deal. But the point is to have a closer relationship. As men, we need it. We're kind of isolated, right? We go home and we have our spouse or our girlfriend, and we kind of dump everything on them, or we have maybe some more friends that are girls than guys. Maybe there's some sort of, it feels more safe around women for some reason for some men, or some men just have drinking buddies or something else. And you can tell if it's a true deep friendship if you take away the activity that you were bonding around. If that's gone and you never talk to that person again, it probably wasn't like a true deep friendship. But if you still maintain contact and the activity is there, like, so you get hurt in jiu-jitsu, but those guys still want to hang out with you, you've made friends. But if that doesn't happen, you're just quote unquote jiu-jitsu friends. That's a good test, but we want to keep moving past that. Yeah, I think we're just afraid of vulnerability a lot with men. Our culture doesn't do a good job. Maybe we were bullied growing up or whatever. We're afraid we're going to be made fun of. But there's something more here. You know, the veterans do a good job about this. Like, the whole busting the balls thing. Like I've heard Jocko talk about this a lot. It's like if you're not being made fun of and you have a funny nickname pretty soon, you probably that means you're not really, you're on the in group, I guess. They have a way of saying it. Like if someone's like, "Oh, how's that new guy? What's he about?" And if they say, "Oh yeah, he's a good neighbor," pretty much means like, nah, not really making the cut. But if they're making fun of you and busting your balls and you have a funny nickname, they like you. And I don't know, it's a guy thing. Maybe it's a missing chromosome. I don't know. We just do stuff like this. It's like the whole reassess thing. We push the girl over because it means we like her when we're like 6. Like, I don't know. There's just something in our DNA, perhaps. But back to evolution and evolving past that. Risk conversations of depth. You'd be surprised how many men are walking around thinking the same damn thing. Like, they're ready to talk about more than just TVs and the weather. I keep thinking of Connor Beaton's book. Great book, by the way. Men's Work. If you have a guy in your life or a woman has a guy in her life that needs some quote unquote men's work, it's a freaking amazing book. He is one of my, I guess I can call him kind of a mentor. I've been working with him for a long time. In his book, he has this part where he talks about kind of hitting rock bottom, and he was really afraid to tell his good friend, and he was afraid his friend was just going to roast him. But his friend was like, "Oh yeah, I mean, me too." And then he sort of aired his stuff, and they became closer for it. It's like, well, there you go. We all got stuff going on, so let's go for it. So to try to make the next step, it's slightly more conversations of depth that engenders trust, feeling more comfortable and safe in a male relationship, which is hard for us men because no one's really taught us how to freaking do it. I mean, this is all a generalization, of course. There's probably plenty of men who have no problems. There's plenty of men who walk up to a guy in his suit and say, "Hey, bro, nice suit." Props. Like those guys are way ahead. Keep it up. But for those of us that are not quite there yet, it's okay. Like this is where we're at in the culture sometimes. So, and some women, it's the same thing. It's not just the thing that hits men primarily, but well, I guess it doesn't hit men primarily, but it does hit some women. But feeling comfortable and safe in male relationship, and that's how real and meaningful male relationships begin. And us men need a lot more of them. It relieves pressure from your spouse, girlfriend, to have to wear more hats than they need to. We need to have a squad again. We need to have men's connections, groups, circles, whatever. We probably hunter-gatherer times, like sat around the fire and talked about stuff, like the hunt, or like that time you almost got speared by a fucking whatever animal with a sharp object off their head. That was a thing, and modern culture's kind of crushed that. So I vote that we move back, but that we honor sport or things that men do together, as well as the great connector, and not try to get rid of it, but honor it. But let's also take a step further, get closer, have more male friendships. If you're a guy, it really does help. There's a big men's movement coming, I see, in a healthy way. I mean, how to integrate the masculine and feminine energies within ourselves. So we have Connor Beaton's, we have Trevor Bones, Man Uncivilized. It's the animo and animus within inside us in Jungian terms, the masculine and feminine inside of us. We're so fractured out to uber masculine, or like, how does Trevor Bone call it? The marble man versus the sensitive new age guy. Like, those both have things to inform each other, but they're fractured out, right? We need to bring them back together again, closer. And then it's a healthy version. So us men need a lot more male friendships, and that's one way to do it. And I thought I'd take a moment to use the super... I can't believe you freaking won. But you crushed him. It was amazing. Sorry, getting off track. I thought I'd use the chance. I can't stop laughing. I'm just so happy. I thought he'd use this chance for as the Super Bowl is a good reason to wear your sports gear with pride, wear whatever your team is, or your jiu-jitsu gear, whatever it is, with pride, and have your conversations, but risk a little bit more. Just ease in. You will be very surprised that the other guy's just as freaked out about vulnerability and just as relieved when you go there. And if that guy can't handle over time, he's just not ready, and that's when you move on. But most guys, I think, are ready. So let's do this. And until next time, go Birds. The beautiful thing about winning the Super Bowl is I can wear Eagles jersey, all Eagles swag all year now, and annoy the crap out of everybody, and it's just a beautiful thing. In 2018, I did the same thing. So, yeah, I'm just soaking it up. Until next time, I will sign off now. All right, go Birds.